Hi there, guys and girls. Sorry, forgot to put this on in the last video. That's better. Feels great. So, I wanted to do a video about someone who actually used to work for Warner Brothers Games Interactive. By the way, to the common folk, Warner Brothers Games call themselves WB Games or Warner Brothers Games, right? But to the industry people, they actually call themselves Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, WBIE. That is their name, right? Now, there's a YouTuber here. She worked in the games industry a long time. Her name's Lauren Fryer. And she is most notably famous for Gears of War, actually. So, if you've ever watched a lot of those features on the Gears of War content or bonus section, I have. I remember seeing them where, you know, Cliff Bleszinski would do something in the game and then he would have to report it to Lauren, who would report it because she worked for Microsoft Game Studios, right? So her main thing was Gears of War 1, 2, 3. But she also worked for Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment in Seattle. So not anything to do with Mortal Kombat, but she did work for WBIE. And she's put up a video called The Games Industry Bubble. And she's put up some other videos too about how game studios, you know, don't respect their fans. They're just pushing their own agendas from inside the studio and fuck what the fans think. And then, rather than listen to us, they just do what they want and spend stupid amounts of money developing games. And then they fail. And then the studios close down.
It's no secret the games industry is struggling. Millions of dollars have been lost and thousands of layoffs have occurred. Even games with mild success will not make their money back. One would think that these failures would create a moment of crisis, a moment of self-reflection in the industry. That studios would realize that instead of lecturing gamers about what they should want, they would listen and understand their fans. You know, the people who want to be entertained, who want to pay to play their games. So how did we get here? Why is it so difficult for the feedback to get through? Why aren't studios listening? Well, the problem is that over the years, they've created a bubble. And unless they turn things around and step into the light, things are only going to get worse. Let's talk about how this happened. When I first started in games, you made a game, got ready to ship, and then you talked about it at E3. You let people play, and sometimes you even had gamers at E3. It felt like a fun geek fest with friends. As games became more mainstream and made more money, things started to change. The press became more powerful, and reporters that wanted to increase their audience might do so by creating breaking news about your game. Sometimes that was really good, and the game developer would score a magazine cover, they'd get more sales and a lot more attention. Sometimes it wasn't so good, because a lot of game developers weren't great at selling their games. They were just great at making them. They might say something wrong about the game, or maybe a reporter would misunderstand. This could end up costing the game developer shelf space, sales, and sometimes their job.
Noise in their makeshift trailer park across the street from E3.
I think it's more honest. Like, we don't have to put on a big show. Our big show is our technology.
Naturally, what happened was the game developers and publishers started to evolve out of self-interest. They needed to protect their investment, so they would set their message and their narrative very specifically before they went to E3. The last thing they wanted was for a reporter to misunderstand and print something that would hurt the game. Now, instead of game developers working 8-hour shifts on the show floor discussing their games, companies moved to designated spokespeople and had secondary people manning the booth. Many companies staffed their floor with beautiful contractors that couldn't answer any in-depth questions.
Aloha! Welcome to the Maxim Video Game Quiz.
This worked really well. Instead of having kind of a grumpy developer that had crunched in order to get their E3 demo done, you had beautiful, bubbly people, and they would set a great first impression of your game.
And people wonder why people like me then do videos complaining about all this shit. You know why? Because there's going to be no Mortal Kombat. And the shills don't care. Because they're going to go on to the next thing that they can ravage. They're like locusts. So once that they've, you know, eaten the whole Mortal Kombat community alive and there's no more food there, and Mortal Kombat closes down and disappears forever, off they go to fucking Call of Duty, or off they go to Medal of Honor, whatever fucking game. Call it Counter-Strike 2, whatever. They don't care. They'll pick something and they'll go there and then they'll just make content around that and act like they're fans. But they're not. Now, this is almost connected to my last video about shills, but this is something I probably should have mentioned in my last video. But the point being, really, about this video is about, here we have an industry insider. She worked, I'm not sure if she still works. She did work for, like I said, WBIE and Microsoft Game Studios, and this was a very respected woman. She was like voted in the top 12 or, producers or whatever at some stage. She was voted, in some, I don't have the details in front of me, okay? So take this with a grain of salt. But, this is a respected leader in the video games development community. And we're finally starting to see a bit of pushback since Trump, since, things have changed a bit in the last month with this announcement. People are just sick of this woke stuff. A bit of pushback now, and we're starting, and while she doesn't call out like DEI or ESG, she calls out the games industry and the studio culture and stuff, and the fact that they're not listening to gamers or what we want, and how the model has changed. And something she really said that I found real interesting too, and something that I noticed in my short term as a video games journalist, I guess you could say. So when I went to E3 in 2006, right, and the first time I met Ed Boon, I could talk to any of them. I just walked up and they're just standing there. They're there to tell people about their game, and it was just cool. I could approach these people. I could ask Ed anything. In fact, I look back at my first interview and I did this like sort of formal, like, what's your name? Your name's Ed. How old are you? What's your marital status? And I realize that's sort of a bit cringy now. It's a bit personal. But like, I was just trying to be professional, and this was my first time doing it, and I was able to ask all this shit, right? Have you seen how they do interviews now? Anyway, we'll get to it. So, but I was able to do this, ask all the questions I wanted, and it was just real relaxed and just real cool and real fun. And I was able to go over to the Mortal Kombat Armageddon machine, set my camera up in front of me, and just film the screen. Direct. Film everything. Any crashes, whatever, right? I did that, and there was never a problem. They never gave a shit, and I noticed that was 2006. It started to change. In 2008, you could no longer film the screen, right? I was still sort of able to talk to Ed. I was lucky I got a half hour sit down with Ed Boon. Half hour is amazing, But still, I was able to just talk to him there at the table. I didn't have some PR person breathing over my shoulder. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Right? I got this great interview with Ed. Appreciate the half hour he gave me. Midway were cool then. The only time they thought, they sort of jumped on me. I think this is just a PR tactic. She said, don't film the screen direct. And I went, okay, no worries. And I never did. I set the camera up far back from the screen. She said, as long as you're playing. And she came over and just yelled at me like, no, you were filming the screen. I'm like, I wasn't. But, I think she knew I wasn't. It was just a scare tactic to make sure you don't do it. Right? Is that okay?
That was your shot.
Is that okay?
No, it needs to be you in the shot, not on the screen. Remember, I said it has to be people on the screen.
Oh, I thought you said as long as it's back. And anyway, everything was cool after that. She never said shit after that. I'm like, well, I can show you. Do you want me to play back the footage? Oh no. You can try to scare me all you want, but the camera's running, lady. I can show you that I wasn't fucking doing what you say, So, that was cool. But as you can see, we've gone from super chill, 2006, 2008, to, starting to be a bit weird about shit, Then we get to 2010. They didn't tell any fans about Mortal Kombat, but me and Chris went anyway. And while we still got some things, I had a 20-minute interview scheduled with Ed Boon, and Chris from Komidogu was next to me, and he wanted to organise an Ed Boon interview as well. And she goes, yeah, sure, Chris, no worries. And then she looks at me and she goes, you can have 10 minutes each. And I went, what do you mean? I said, I need 20 minutes. And she goes, oh, he doesn't have time for that. And I'm like, but I had a 20-minute interview organised. And just because there was another Mortal Kombat fan next to me, she sliced it like we were the same. We were from the same website. Into two. And my 20-minute interview became fucking 10 minutes. And I don't blame Chris for that. He just wanted to organise an Ed Boon interview as well. But, like, this is where all this weird media starts getting weird, right? This is 2010, right? Then we get given the rubber band, the silicon band that says Mortal Kombat on it. And appreciate the Warner Brothers person who gave us that, actually. Because it wasn't... it wasn't our direct contact. It was someone else. And then every time we tried to use it, they wouldn't let us. Do you know what I mean? And that was on purpose. They just kept saying, they're busy. And they were busy, don't get me wrong. But they didn't see any value in Total MK and Komidogu. And this is 2010, by the way. This is before your undies, your precious undies, and your Uncage, and everyone else. Right? This is before their time. And they just wouldn't let us use it. They just kept telling us to come back another time. You know? And while I was still glad to get it as a collector's item, as a Mortal Kombat collector, I've got that silicon band. I doubt many people have them. It's sort of white, red, and black. It's sort of like three colours that sort of merge into each other. And it's just embossed Mortal Kombat, right? So it was cool to get the collectible. But you see, they didn't let us use it. It was supposed to let us skip the line and watch the show. And they didn't let us use it, not once. So, we got to play the game. Later, I asked to go out the back and play the game. Got to play it, you know. That was behind closed doors. That was nice, you know. But, like, a lot of people be like, see, Warner Brothers were good to you. What are you talking about, mate? I come back to Australia and I made videos. I made, like, 5 videos on how great MK9 was. And those videos had, like, 10,000 views, 20,000 views. I sold that fucking game for them. Do you know what I mean? And if they had have cooperated with me more, I could have done even more for them. Didn't need to, because MK9 was a powerhouse. It kind of sells itself as well. Let's be honest. But it only helps when you got a whole bunch of people talking about it. And they wouldn't let us. There was an interview area. So if you're doing an interview with Ed Boon, you go, there's like the booth, and then there's an interview area, right? And that's where all like the, you know, IGN and all that go, right? And they have the proper backdrops. And something I noticed, even in 2008, they did this too. And I wasn't aware of it because I didn't realize it was a thing in 2008. But I wanted to interview Ed Boon in front of that backdrop that had all the Midway logos. And they're like, no, we'll do it over here. You know, we'll do it over here in front of this game party, like, thing. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, and I just thought it was weird at the time. But now I realise what they're doing. And this is what they were doing in 2010. They don't want to put a fan in front of an official backdrop that represents the company. In case I say something like, why don't you give Tanya a mask in the MK2 Retro Skins pack? Because everyone else has a mask. She's not a ninja. But she's basically she wasn't in MK2, so she's acting like the ninjas. So she needs a mask. Hello? It's basic logic. But they're worried. You'll say something they don't like in front of like a official backdrop that says Midway or Warner Brothers or NetherRealm or whatever on it. And they did the same in 2010. They refused to let us do the interview in the interview area. And I was really mad about it because the booth was fucking loud. And there was this... She gave me 2 options, right? Interview... And you guys have seen it. That sign... That light-up sign with the characters. I still haven't figured out how to diffuse it properly. Imagine one of those Except a proper one, an industrial one that's like 2 meters tall by 1 meter wide. Imagine her going, yo, you want to do your interview in front of this thing that has so many amps running through it, that's so fucking bright. They know the interview's going to come out like shit. They know that you're going to be dark because the background is like a fucking floodlight. I went, no thanks, not here. And also on top of that, was playing on loop all the time, so you're probably going to get hit with copyright. And the noise is going to like fuck the audio of the interview. Right? And the other option, which is the option I took, was do it in the back. Right? Where it was very dark. It was fucking dark back there. I just wanted to do a good interview. Like, and as I've demonstrated, I learnt over the years, from 2006 to asking sort of cringy sort of questions. By the time I got to 2010, I was on my game. Like, you know, I'd proven myself, right? And I wanted the interviews to be good, and look good, and sound good, and not be shit, right? And even you can even watch that interview with Ed, because he realised that in 2008 the audio, he must have watched it. The audio got a bit trashed. You can hear it, but it's hard to hear. You got to sort of concentrate on what's being said, and you know that's why I did a transcript of it in the description. But the first thing he said to me in 2010 is, "Oh, you got a microphone?" Like he'd never said that before. But lucky for me, I actually did. It was an old MP3 player I had actually that had a pretty good microphone on it. From Korea or something. I used to take that thing with me everywhere until the switch died on it. But I use that as a recorder. And now, and it's right here actually, whenever I do an interview, which isn't very often these days, I use a Sony voice recorder. And this thing's amazing. You can actually plug microphones into this if you want. Look, it's got, you know, or it's got 2 pickups, or you can do direct inputs. This thing's awesome. And like, I'm already thinking about getting something better than this. Because when MKAU were down here for PAX, they showed me the DJI microphone, how good it was. And I was like, just like, fuck, it was just excellent. You can clip one on your guest that you're interviewing and one on yourself, and you get just beautiful capture, right? And I've learned all these things. Yeah, so Ed asked me, you got a microphone? I say, yeah, it's right here. And he goes, okay, cool. And like I did that because I used that audio. My laptop actually died, and I had a lot of trouble editing that video. That's why the start should be sort of chopped off that video, but I couldn't edit because I bought a backup laptop when I went to America. I bought an actual brand new laptop. I got there, and it was fucked. And Samsung had a brief stint in the laptop game before they went to tablets, and their laptops were horrible. I know, because I'm a computer technician, and they didn't put a Samsung hard drive in it for a start. Pretty good hard drives. They're putting Seagate hard drives in Samsung laptops. And they didn't have, this is the more important thing, they didn't have a hard drive stopper, for anybody who knows, in the 2.5-inch hard drive bay. So you have to have, on a laptop, you drop a hard drive in like that, click, and then you slide it in, and it locks, right? Or it doesn't lock, it connects, right? And because you go down and across, there's a space behind it, so you can drop it in and slide it. Because when you slide it in, there's about a centimetre space once it's pushed in. So you need something in that space to stop the hard drive wiggling free. Otherwise, it's going to get corrupted, right? And almost every, Asus, they either have, when you put the plastic thing on, you screw it down, it either has things that push down so it can't slide back, or there's a piece of foam there, that just goes in there that stops it from moving. Anyway, Samsung didn't have that. So I get to America, hard drive corrupts itself. I even bought a new hard drive, tried to reinstall Windows, I ended up doing that eventually, but E3 was over by the time I got through all that nonsense and mess. But I took a backup netbook, which had no power, and I had to edit the Ed Boon interview on that, and I couldn't edit. It couldn't render live when I moved the timeline. It was just so slow. It was just shit. So in the end, I just put the video in, exported it, because I had to use the audio from the recorder, right? that's where I had to do some sort of edit, right? And that's how that Ed Boon interview got a lot of views. I think it's 20,000, 50,000. I don't know. So it was something big, something decent. And everyone that watched it said it was the best interview about Mortal Kombat 9 that they saw. And imagine I had done that in the proper interview area, with the proper background, proper lighting. It just would have looked better. And going back to Lauren, and this is where this whole conversation started, that's something that she said, the industry changed over time. Like, it went from being super relaxed and chill. And it's funny because she started in 2006 as well for Gears of War. And I remember I didn't give a shit about Gears of War when I was at E3. I walked into the convention center, and guess what the first thing I saw was, the day before E3 or 2 days before E3, wherever it was, the first thing I saw was them doing a Gears of War mural on the marble floor of all the monsters coming out of, and I was drawing it. I'll put the picture up here for you to have a look at it. And I was like, fuck. It looked awesome. You know what I mean? And you got to remember, I come from Australia, right? We game shows here are trash. They do something. They do a little bit of thing, but the scale of E3 was like insane, right? There were these banners, huge banners everywhere on the outside, and just cool artwork and giveaways galore. And E3 2006 was it was madness. It was video game madness. And I actually sort of squandered it because I spent all my time in the Midway booth, really. I went to Nintendo and a few other booths, but not a lot. It worked out for me in the end. I got all those games given to me. Midway were happy with my coverage. They were happy of everything that I did for them. That meant a lot. But she's right. The industry's changed now, where it's like, it's gone from being super relaxed to, you can't film this. They got to control everything. You say anything bad, or you show a crash, or you do anything bad or wrong, it could be the end of their game. That's the way to look at it. They've gone like insane, right? Instead of just addressing any issues or anything, they control it all from the get-go now. They are super control freaks. Mate, you watched the Chaos Reigns interviews at San Diego Comic Con were so cringy. They had a Warner Brothers guy. They were at these tables, like they're like a prison warden, not warden, a prison officer, to like monitor the shit that you were asking. And one of them, you even hear it, he goes, only ask about Chaos Reigns. That's how the interview starts. Only ask about Chaos Reigns. What, so I can't ask about Mortal Kombat 2? Or 3? Or am I allowed to ask about Mortal Kombat 3? Because Sector and Cyrax are in Chaos Reigns, but they came from Mortal Kombat 3. So am I allowed to ask about Mortal Kombat 3 because that's where those characters came from? They're connected to Mortal Kombat 3. Am I not allowed to ask about that? It's relevant. But you've told me I can only ask about fucking Chaos Reigns.
If you can keep all the questions focused on the announcements today on the Chaos Reigns expansion, that'd be great. We have about 8 minutes, so we'll keep the time and I'll let you know when we're...
And that's what's going on. They're like little fucking... I don't want to say the bad guy from World War II word, but they're just... Gestapo, man. They were just... I've never seen anything like that. Look, I wish I could have recorded it. I sat in this chair with no cameras on, and when I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? Out loud. I was like, what happened to the video games industry? What happened to it? Where I can't ask questions anymore. It has to be about what we say. And you can even see there's times when they ask a question about, still about Chaos Reigns, and Marty Stoltz and the other guy are like, oh, I'm not sure if we can answer this. And then they call the Warner Brothers, can we answer this? No.
I say how we're gonna able to perform animalities? I know the answer, but I don't know if we're trying to keep that a secret.
How do you mean?
Well,
The sequence of buttons.
right. You know how like fatalities, you just push like up, down, A, B, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Hang it up. Soon.
Warner Brothers control everything. Everything. This video is really worth a watch. Lauren Fryer, thank you for doing the videos. Actually, I had to call her out on something. She made a comment about This Is Vegas. By the way, that's the game that killed Midway. This Is Vegas, because they spent so much money on it, which is what they do now with crap video games, and it kills studios. And that's what killed Midway back then. You'd think they'd learn, right? But This Is Vegas. She said there'd never been a playable build, and I said, well, I actually played it, so. And I'm not saying this to discredit her. I'm saying this for authenticity and accuracy. I like to be authentic. I like things to be accurate. I like things to be correct. And that's the way I've always run my YouTube channel. Anyway, I'm giving her a shout out because she's an industry insider. Very, like I said, very respected. And everything she said in this video is just dead on. She doesn't call out DEI directly, but she talks about studio culture, which is DEI. That's what they've made their whole studio culture, you know. And we're not going to be on X or Twitter anymore with the MAGA supporters, the MAGA scum. You know, they are so butthurt. That's why they're telling everyone to go to fucking Pooh Sky. You know, because they did the same crap with Threads, you know, it's just get the fuck over yourself. Everyone's on Twitter. We all know it. The MAGA scum and the left scum, because you're on there advertising Blue Sky, but you're on fucking Twitter. I thought you were on Blue Sky. Hang on. I'm not on Blue Sky. I'm only on Twitter, and I'm seeing you advertise for Blue Sky. How does that make any fucking sense? Now, I've locked down my handle on Blue Sky, of course, to stop people ripping off, you know, the Total MK name, you know. So I locked down my name, but I haven't posted shit. I haven't set a profile picture. I haven't done any of that crap, you know. So, these people are just nuts. I actually think that was a Warner Brothers push. I think they pushed Ed to go over there and make an account. I can't prove anything, but I really hate that shit. You know, just stop it. You're here to sell a product to us, whether it be MAGA scum, left scum. Everyone's on Twitter. Just stop it. You're not gonna win against Twitter, you morons. How many users you got? 20 million? How many's fucking Twitter got? Jesus. Some insane number. What is it? I don't have it in front of me. I know it's like 20 million on Blue Sky. Total Twitter users. There you go. 335.7 million. You think you're going to beat that? Million. 335.7 million accounts on Twitter versus the 20 million they had on Blue Sky. Now, obviously, they're not all Mortal Kombat fans, but, you know. Anyway, I highly recommend, like I said, watch this Lauren Fryer's videos. Industry Insider, worked for Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment, a.k.a. WB Games, and she knows what's up, and we're starting to see a turn. We're starting to see people speak up, rise up, and we want to destroy DEI. And, like, I love watching Osmongold. I was watching Osmongold this morning, and he's saying, you know, we can't win against it. And I agree with him in some degree, but not all the way. I think it's going to be a very hard battle, and I would like to see DEI destroyed. And I think that if things keep going like this, and games keep failing, and studios keep closing, and more industry insiders go, you know what, fuck this shit. It's not working. I'm out of a job now. And you're starting to see, and I've noticed, you're starting to see a lot of white guys, or women, middle-aged white people, rise up and speak up because they realise that they're being discriminated against by these game studios. Because of their DEI hiring practices, they're pushing out the old, hiring new, and they're hiring new people based on their race or their sexuality or their gender or whatever, right? Instead of just hiring the right people for the job. And that's why you're getting more and more pushback. And if there's enough, and there needs to be more, he's right, because the whole industry is rife with this shit. But if there's enough pushback, if even one studio could say, one Western studio can say, we're banning all DEI video games, right? I know I've mentioned a few that have done so in certain capacity, but I'm talking like a total say, we're not doing it like that anymore. We're just hiring people who's ever good for the job. We don't care what you are or who you are or what gender, whatever, right? And then they make a game, and that game is hugely successful because of it. They will all fall into line. But until someone has the balls to do it, we're here. We've taken some good steps by Trump becoming president. It's given, like I said, given people confidence boosts. It's given us the power to rise up. But it's not enough, because now we have to rise up against corporations, and they're big and they have lots of money and lots of influence, right? And that's where we are now. So step one was just everyone being suppressed. Suppression is now defeated. People are talking now, right? Next step is to really, push back hard against DEI. And that's, like I said, with Trump changing lots of rules around, who can be in the military and things like that. We're going to start to see positive results from these changes, and people are going to start to get behind it more. And that's where we are. And we're going to make Mortal Kombat great again. And yeah, thanks for watching. This has been a long video. Links to Lauren Fryer's video, channel, down below. Check her out. She's excellent. Gears of War 1, 2, 3, man. She did that shit. Yeah, so she's awesome. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making the videos, Lauren. Appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.